Welcome back, and today we have some very interesting Broadway grosses. Some incredible things have been happening on the Broadway, some juicy things, so let's get into it. And Juliet and A Beautiful Noise. I thought we knew what was going to happen with these two things. A Beautiful Noise closes in January, and Juliet does well for years, and I still think that might be the case, although not for A Beautiful Noise, because and Juliet went from 1,172,142 to 919K, and 99% to 89%. What a drop. Now, obviously, all big brand musicals tended to fall off a lot, especially when we get into the fall months, but this is not what you want to see. Compare this to Aladdin. And that also had a significant drop, going from 97% to 94%, but staying in the $1 million category, only going from 1,362,000 to 1,219,000, which again was what, 142K drop, but still, that's where you want to see it. This is very irregular and a little bit concerning. Now, is this going to close anytime soon? No. And this is just like a typical big drop-off week. Yes. But it is concerning. It is concerning that it fell so significantly, and I'm wondering, is this losing steam already? Did all the people that wanted to see it went and saw it? Now, obviously, if it continues to decrease, it will close in January, but that won't happen. But it is just a very interesting thing that I was completely taken aback of, but this is what I mean by you can't predict Broadway. You can't predict grosses, you can't predict what's going to sell, what's going to do well, what's going to suddenly drop and then never come back. And that's what makes it so exciting, and why so many, musicals keep on coming in and out. Bottom line, and Juliet is doing fine. It's totally okay, but it is not. It's concerning. It's a little concerning, and I don't know if it's just a little 1 week anomaly, or if this will be a new trend. Even if it doesn't make $1 million until Thanksgiving, and I don't think that's gonna happen. It will probably do like low millions in September and October. It will still be fine, and I don't think it's gonna fall off where it will be in danger. It's not in danger, but it was like, whoa, where did this come from? A Beautiful Noise went from 68% to 80%, and 892K to $1 million. Its best week since like June, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, whoa. So I guess the producers were correct in assuming that A Beautiful Noise's audience comes more in the fall, which is very interesting because that normally doesn't happen, and it is a bad sign when musicals don't do well in the summer, so that's why I was so confident in A Beautiful Noise closing in January, and I still think that's a distinct possibility, but again, it is very interesting to see that these two shows, which were doing great and not so good, switching up, and it just being like, what? But again, that's what happens with Broadway grosses. You can't predict these things, and it's hard to read the market sometimes. Back to the Future made $1 million and 92% capacity compared to last week's 98% and 1,234,640. And again, this was a significant drop, but it only fell by 155K compared to the 250K of And Juliet. So again, these are significant drops, which are expected. But again, you can see why I'm saying that this drop for And Juliet is a bit irregular. Hadestown is not doing great, even with Betty Who coming in, going from 99% to 95%, and 691K to 670K. I think this might close in January. It's going to close sometime next year. And again, it is concerning. Hadestown is in a state of concern. No musical that is doing under 700K is doing well. Even shows that are doing 700K are in danger, unless you're something like a Kimbo, and we'll get to that. But again, Hadestown, it's just not what it used to be, and it's concerning. But again, I think it's just losing steam. Pure and simply, it's losing steam, and I'm just preparing you guys for the inevitable closing announcement, because it is not doing well. If you want Hadestown to last longer, you gotta go and see it, because at this current moment, it is not doing the business it needs to do. Is it gonna close in like a week, like Once Upon a One More Time in New York? No, it's not there yet, but it is in a state of producers are gonna be taking a hard look at this show and saying, is this worth keeping going into January? Is this worth keeping on pumping money into? Because now it's been doing this for the past year, 2023, and a little bit of last year, and we're not seeing any improvements. And when that happens, they tend to call it a day. Hamilton went from 100% to 99%, and 1,895,715 to 1,746,638. Harry Potter went from 1,316,625 to $1 million, and 85% to 82%. Always underperformed, but yet still is here. But yeah, I don't think Harry Potter is going to close anytime soon. It would have to do bad for like a year, and I don't see that happening because it's Harry Potter. Here Lies Love. It's doing poorly. It is doing terrible. 87% last week, 80% this week, $604K compared to last week's $715K and $85 as your average ticket. This is an expensive musical to have on every single week. It can't be doing these low numbers. If it continues to do this 1 month from now, it is closing in January, full stop. There is no way it's going to make it to the Tony Awards. And if they can't, I know they're getting a new Filipino famous actress to be in it, and hopefully that boosts sales. But if it doesn't, if they cannot stay in the 800K plus area, I don't see how it's going to make it past January. It is doing bad. Here Lies Love is in danger of closing very, very soon. There's no sugarcoating it. It is doing terrible at the box office, and there's no two ways to put it. Kimberly Kimbo went from 89% to 85%, 655K to 587K. And that's not great. Again, I still think Akimbo closes in January. It's doing very similar business to A Strange Loop, in some cases worse. So yeah, it's just they've lost so much money over the year, and then they're continuing to do 500K. They're just gonna not see it worth it to keep it open a year from now. Mulan Rouge. And that went from 98% to 98%, and 1,262,867 to 1,204,651, which is not a bad drop for a big musical like Moulin Rouge. These tend to do even worse, so this was pretty good for a pretty big win. Then we got good old Shucked, and that went from 94% to 85%, and 798K to 699K. And again, that is a pretty significant drop, but it is doing better than Akimbo. I still think it will close in January. I think that it will need to do more 7s and 8s, but I could see it making past January. I could just see it make it. We'll have to see how it goes, but I think we'll see more 6s and, the occasional 7s and the 5s. And if I'm a producer, I'm thinking January and February, we're going to probably lose a lot of more money, so it's better to close it then. 6 went from 96% to 92%, and 939K to 838K. Some Like It Hot went from 75% to 76%, and 859K to 797K, which is a pretty significant drop, and I do think this will close in January, because while 797K isn't terrible for a show that is as expensive as Some Like It Hot, it needs to stay in the 850K plus area. And again, if it had done better business, before the fall, I would have been more confident in it. Now, it was the best performing musical at the box office. It made $1 million for the summer, so it could survive. But again, I'm not going to be too optimistic about it. But it could. There is a chance. And then Sweeney Todd went from 99% to 95%, and 1,674,862 to 1,593,122. Amazing week for Sweeney. Listen to the cast album. It's amazing. And as you know, I thought that the Sweeney revival was good, but I think it was the sound was a little too low. And on the album, it's like, why couldn't it sound like this in the theater? So weird. Anyways, those are the grosses for this week. Some interesting developments, some juicy details, and Juliet, A Beautiful Noise switching up. Some very intriguing things. And will Kimberly Akimbo and Here Lies Love and Shucked and Some Like It Hot make it past January? I don't think so. I think at least 2 of them will be closed. And yeah. So let me know your thoughts. Like, sub, and comment, and I will see you next week. Peace.